We are live. Welcome, everybody. Winging It is a show by OddBird about web design development and our approach to solving problems. Today, we will be, let's say, dishing the tea on some bad UX patterns, maybe getting into some of our own struggles that we've had, and just generally talking about, what we're digging and what we're not so digging this day and age in the UX world. We have Sondra with me today from OddBird. Welcome back to the show. And we have our special guest, Clayton Dewey of Dev Collaborative. Clayton, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Clayton Dewey. I am the product owner at Dev Collaborative. I'm the owner of a very cute dog who is also very protective and might bark.
That's acceptable.
Yeah. So, a lot of my focus is around content strategy and user experience design. And at Dev Collaborative, we're a boutique web agency, and we work exclusively with nonprofits and universities and foundations, and with a real focus on accessibility and sustainable open source technology.
Awesome. Yeah, devcollaborative.com. Go check them out. They're a fantastic organization. I couldn't recommend them more. So thank you for joining us today. And anyone who is watching live, please feel free to leave a question in the chat if you want to contribute to any of our discussion. We welcome that. If you're watching after the fact, please feel free to leave a comment. We'll try to get back to you if it's something that requires a response, or just, put a thumbs up on that video, like and subscribe, always helps. I should mention that we are here, well, some of us in costume, because this is our closest show to Halloween. Sondra, do you want to explain what you're wearing?
I'm a witch.
You're a witch. Excellent. But that's not really your costume. That's just your uniform, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. What? Yeah, that's how I come to work every day.
Like myself, I am A/B testing. So I'm testing the difference between a hamburger menu and the word menu. And I have a feeling I know which one will win. But maybe we could talk about that later. All right, let's jump into our first topic today. We're going to talk about managing complex navigation. Sondra, do you want to share your screen and give us a tour of what you're thinking lately?
I sure do. So at OddBird, we were working on our navigation as we were about to add some new things to our website, and we realized this is super complex. And I will just share my screen to show you OddBird's website, first of all. Okay, so here's OddBird's homepage, and we have this space up here for our top navigation. We have, it turns out, a lot of stuff. We have no less than 9 separate objects that are like fully distinct things we want people to go to. Plus, we have several different groups of people who might be coming to find this content. And we discovered that we have all these things, and we thought to ourselves, oh my goodness, how in the world are we going to know what to put in the top of our navigation? Because especially if you shrink it down, you don't want to go to, I think, the hamburger menu, because then all of your juicy objects that you want people to find on your website are just going to be hidden. And we don't have very much space for good navigation. We have our logo here. We have a search, which is super important. We even have light and dark mode. So we wanted to figure out how in the world we're going to deal with adding even more new navigation items, new things to our website that we thought were important for people to find. So that's the challenge. Before I go any further into that challenge, I want to define my terms a little bit that I just used, one of those being objects. So I took Sophia Prater's object-oriented design training and object-oriented UX. You can find that at oous.com. I highly recommend her training. And it taught me all about objects in a digital product. So now I'm going to share that screen. Yeah. This is it, object-oriented UX. And in that system, you've got objects, and objects are defined as something on a website that has structure, instances, and purpose. So for OddBird, we have no fewer than 9 objects at the very least. Services, OSS tools, clients, client projects, courses, events, workshops, talks. Are those the same thing? Posts and staff members. That's the very least of the objects we have. There's probably more. Those are like the top ones. And that's 9 objects. That is a lot of stuff to try to fit into a navigation, but they all just seem super important. We want people to be able to find those things. So that's what an object is. And then we have audiences too, that different kinds of people that are coming to our website. So that could be a developer who wants to attend a workshop, or a developer who already attended a workshop and now they're looking for something totally different than the person who wants to attend. Or it could be a developer who wants to read all of our technical articles about things that they want to try to do, or it could be someone wanting to take a course, or it could be someone wanting to use an open source tool of ours, just like so many different things. Then we have an maybe entirely different set of people, or there is probably crossover, who want to find out what our services are and hire us for those services. And then we have tons of services. So we just have all these different audience needs. And of course, with really good UX, you want to think about your audience and what their goals and priorities are. So we have these at least 9 objects, all these different audience needs. And we thought, what in the world are we going to do? How are we going to untangle this complexity? So let's dig into it. I'm going to show you one thing I forgot to show you too, just so that you can like get a sense of the sheer complexity visually. This is an object map that I tried to make of, or that I did make of.
You're going to have to zoom way in.
I know. This is an object map of OddBirds' website. So it has all of the different objects there at the top, and then underneath those is all of the things that make up each object. These are the list names of the objects, actually, and the blue ones are the objects.
Can I ask you a question while we're looking at this? I feel like OddBird is a small-ish company, and I feel like our website also feels like it could be a small-ish site compared to like something like a university. I used to work in higher education where we also had like different audiences and everything. Like, I feel like what you're saying is it almost doesn't matter the size of your marketing presence, like what you have to talk about. It could be a small company and you still have all these challenges.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you don't have to be Amazon or a Vistaprint, which I'm going to show later, in order to have lots of objects that you want people to find. Lots of people run in quickly into complexity in their navigation as their business scales. And then you have to also deal with the fact that you probably have an existing website with a certain amount of space you've given to the top navigation, and how does your new navigation fit into that? So it's just not an easy problem to solve. Yeah. So let's just look at Vistaprint for a second. So one of the things that people do, and especially historically, is the web historical? Anyway, to solve this complex navigation problem is to have a mega menu. You know, mega menu, like Vistaprint is the queen of mega menus in my mind. And some of the things that are bad UX patterns when you have a mega menu, this one doesn't have this, thank goodness. But sometimes if you are moving your cursor from one of these top navigation items, and then a mega menu appears below, and you try to move your cursor down to the mega menu, the mega menu disappears. Like it just goes away and you have to try again and again to get that movement to work. Or if you're trying to move around through the menu, things don't line up, like you don't know what you're clicking on, and then they haven't laid it out in a nice way sometimes, where it actually just adds to the complex and overwhelming feeling instead of organizing it. So that's one of the bad UX patterns that grinds my gears. It's just mega menus, especially when they are done terribly. Do you all find that?
Vista print hover or click?
Vistaprint is hover. Yeah, so that's another thing. Like, yeah, right. If you like, are you going to be clicking on that item to get a menu to appear? Are you hovering? And then if you're hovering, well, what's your design going to be like when you're on a device that you have to touch? That's not going to work. So that's
I love that. I love that game where you're trying. It's like
you zoom over.
Deep. Yeah, by love I mean hate. But yeah, it seems like like you said, at least with the Vistaprint ones, they were good about the targets.
Yeah,
like where the hover is happening.
Yeah, that full width really helps, I think, to like control the whole like screen basically with your menu, because then they don't like lose focus on that huge full screen situation. So like they seem to have, if you're going to have a mega menu, so far it seems like Vistaprint has done a good job of a difficult situation.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And the way that they have it organized so that there's really clear columns with a topic that you do not click on, and the things underneath it you do click on, and lines and a few little pictures, that makes it clear so that you can skim it really easily. You can skim through the titles of the topics and find what you need. So for an extremely complex site that has so many different objects, they have done a good job, and I do find that I can find my way around.
Have you looked at their site on mobile?
Yeah,
I have not. I'm just curious how the experience is different.
We are about to dive into that very thing, because they do. Since you have to hover. How do they deal with that on mobile? Now, can you see this mobile view?
They chose hamburger button.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
There. You can barely find it because everything is yelling at you. But here, so okay, yeah, they chose a hamburger menu, but people are kind of accustomed to looking for those. So if you're gonna have it, like, they've done a pretty good job. Again, they like used up the full space, so that you have plenty of room to click, and then you can expand. It's a little. This gets hard. If you click on something like business cards, then they have like different kinds of business cards. So here's the context. That's cool. And then now we're expanding instead of moving to get to the next level. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it just worked pretty well.
I think I would prefer expanding there in that context.
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably preferred expanding in the original, but there's probably just so much content they're trying to surface. It would get messy.
Yeah, I felt that it was a little bit disorienting to move to, but they have a big business card text up here, so that does help. So they didn't, it's okay. The other thing that they did, which I like, is they tried to think of what maybe people would be coming for at this time of year. So they have some navigation, essentially, where you can get to probably the most important things for their users at this moment in time. And they have, like, quickly, as you go down, some other options for visual navigation, which side scrolling or even clicking isn't great.
Your favorite,
but not so good for accessibility. But I do think it's good to have. They're at least like attempting to think about what their users might want to find right now and put that front and center so you can get to some of those navigation items really, really quickly. What do you all think about that? Do you like it or not like it, that they're guessing what I might need?
I like that first. I like that first bit. The 3 buttons there: the holiday, the gift, and whatever that third one was.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to see how much interaction that carousel gets below it, where you're kind of tabbing through. My hunch is not much.
Yeah.
Best way to hide content. Your important content is on page 2 or 3 of your carousel.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly. Don't do it.
Yeah,
that's great. So those are some good, bad, and ugly navigation patterns that you can do for your complex navigation. You can do them, each of those, better or worse. And then let's see, what else did I have? Okay. That's what I was going to say. You said it already. Burying important content in the hierarchy. So that's another way you could do it. You could just kind of put only a few items up at the top because you're worried that, I mean, it's a good thing. You want people to be able to scan through your navigation really quickly and see what's there. And so you might put some things down in the hierarchy. But then if you've messed up, right, and you haven't understood what your visitors' top priorities are, then they could get really upset with you because they're trying to find something that's like you have to go down several layers to find.
Yeah.
Do you think it would help if they, I mean, I don't know anything about their business or analytics or anything like that, but like part of me wonders, my favorite navigation these days is just a really good search bar. Because if I know what I want on a site, that's probably the first thing I'm going to use. But like even beyond that, like, is there any merit, instead of doing mega menus these days, for just a button that says t-shirts or whatever they want printed, stationery, and just one without any drop downs or anything? Then you like dive into the content once you're on that page. I wonder how many people are coming in from a search result anyway and going directly to one of those landing pages.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was curious about that too with the mobile menu. You chose business cards and then it was like matte, glossy, whatever.
Glossy. Yeah.
And I was like kind of surprised to see all of like those different options there, as opposed to just like going to a business cards page and then choosing like a filter.
Yeah.
Do you think that's helping them with SEO? Or like, do you think that might have been the intended purpose originally?
Yeah, it could be, right? And maybe there's enough of those options, or like there's, of the bazillion business card options, there's like 3 that are just consistently super popular. And so they put that in the menu for that reason. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because makes me think of one of the other things I was going to share, which is, Amazon, which they have maybe some of the most complex navigation to deal with of any site these days. And the way that they do it is they definitely do not even try to. They have some kind of like mega menu things, but there's no chance they're going to try to do what Vista printed and try to show everything anywhere. They couldn't. And so it looks like they are kind of making some guesses. Maybe these are the top in their analytics things that people want. I don't know why they choose those. They just chose a small number of navigation items and everything else is hidden. But then you said, Stacy, search. So they've made their search bar huge and bright and right at the top and centered, and like you can just find it super easily. And they give you some mega menu ideas or like search ideas there. But yep, and then you can filter. So they are really super relying on searching. And then once you get there, Prime Video, they're doing something similar to Vistaprint. They do not try to give you any of those sub menu items in that side menu. They just take you here, and now you can start to have sub menus and drill down and filter and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, I know that Amazon, as annoying as they are, they do lots of research, and
We do.
mhm. They do lots of research. So going to see what they're doing can shed light on what users want to see. And I think that's searching. If they're coming to a site like Amazon, where they probably have in their mind already what they want, and it's not so much about browsing around to find what's there, then search is the key. I think that's true.
Yeah.
It's more tricky when you're not known, like Amazon. People don't know what they're going to find, and so you have to help them. And how do you do that? So that's still in the, I don't know that OddBirds problems could be solved on our own website by search, because do people who come to the homepage know what we offer? Not sure everyone would.
That's exactly what I was wondering, because when you're going to Vistaprint, I'm going to Vistaprint because I want to print some business cards in bulk for cheap, and if I'm going to Amazon, I'm going to buy this Halloween costume like last minute that I need to get rushed because I look like a fool without the third, no costume here. So, but yeah, if I'm going to OddBird, there's I think there are some cases where people know what they're going to search for, but I think it's also a lot of more exploratory, what are all the services you offer? Do they match what I'm looking for? Or yeah.
Ooh, and can I show you one of the sites out there whose navigation and search grinds my gears the most?
Please.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You'll see in a second here. Maybe it grinds your gears.
This is a public service announcement. We don't mean to be picking on any other design teams. We totally understand how much work it is, and you're dealing with a whole big team of people who have their own priorities for the business. So we understand it. We're coming to you as users, and maybe here, take this as a grain of salt. This is our preference.
Yeah, that's right.
Can I go out with a
Netflix.
Autoplay video. That's the first one.
Design patterns. Oh my gosh.
Down with autoplay.
Yeah, autoplay and not good. So looking just at the navigation, this is good. We've limited it down to top level things, shows and movies, games, and now they're trying to do a little bit of organization, like new and popular for us, or you can make your own list, which is great. Browsing by languages, that's lovely. And they have search right here, because a lot of people are going to do what Stacy was saying and just search. They already know what they want, maybe. But then the things that happen when you try to search, stand up.
This is my favorite.
Stand-up comedy. I started searching stand-up, and they already have things here, and then they have all these options to explore. And the thing is, there's no other way to get to any of this stuff here. You can't. I don't know anyway how to get to any of these things that arose when I started typing in stand-up. I had to know to type that in, and then I could find these. So that's a little strange. And then when I click on stand-up, I've looked at this before. The things that come up, this is not a comprehensive list of all of the stand-up comedy shows that they have on Netflix. Some things, as far as I can tell, you can only find on Netflix if you know the name and you type it in, which is, I don't know. That's not great, because how are they making that decision? And why would they be making that decision for me?
Can I go out with a guy my good friend?
Yeah, very political question. I was just listening to a podcast about this, and it was a documentary filmmaker talking about how difficult it is nowadays to get social impact documentaries circulated and distributed compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that Netflix has been prioritizing a lot more fluffy feel good content, which is, and even though you can prove that like viewership is just as strong as those categories, but there's a political decision there of like what to prioritize and what to feature in your algorithm with this design pattern you're bringing up.
That seems super rare these days, though. Usually everyone wants to like guide you to the outrage,
That's right.
the rage machine. So for them to be like, let's make people happy, that's unusual.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, but I mean, I would say don't do that if on your personal site. If you, just like people would like to find what you have, so let them find it. But
yes.
I would say that even if you have search like somewhere where they can go and see what you have on your site, so if they don't know about it, is super, super useful. At least it's like, that's what I love. I like to see it all laid out there, like a sitemap nearly, and understand what I can find.
Yeah. And
I want to know
working in
what
the
comedy. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, working in the nonprofit tech space, you're kind of touching upon something that we see, which is coercive design. And so we can look to places like Amazon, and maybe even Vistaprint could be an example of this, but also taking it with a grain of salt, because a lot of those platforms are big tech platforms that are very driven by a bottom line and are resorting to coercive design patterns that we don't want to replicate in the nonprofit world or in the higher ed world. Like we want people to be empowered and find what they need to find rather than forced into a certain decision point. Yeah.
Yep. Amen to that. So back to, what did OddBird do? We had to solve this somehow. And I'm going to show you something that I found that was super interesting as I was doing research for this, for what OddBird should do. So this is Fiddly from Smashing Everything, Smashing Workshop, Smashing Conference, Smashing Magazine. And he gave this talk about complex navigation that I thought was really great. And his idea, where he was really going, was this is if you have, again, extreme complexity, but I think even if you have the level that OddBird has, we considered something like this. But he was saying, why don't you not try the opposite of coercive? Like, what if you let people tell you what they want to find? And so you give them a way to quickly drill down as quickly as possible to what it is that they would like to see on your site. So it's an even more detailed or extreme version in some way of search. So you're helping them to understand what is on your site and what they can choose from. But you're giving them quick and total control over getting to what they need to get to, which I think is a great idea. And one of the main reasons we didn't do that here with OddSite is we didn't have enough time. When we were doing the quick change of our adding new content, we wanted to move more quickly than that. But I would really, really personally love to come back around to this idea that people can find what they need in a quick way, where they can see their options very quickly and just tell you what they need instead of you telling them. It's the ultimate user experience design, in my opinion. Ask them what they want. So.
We'll add that to the show notes if anyone wants to access that later. It reminds me a lot of Jerry, is it McGovern's, his top tasks. He talks a lot about top tasks. I think he might have a book too, but it's really helpful when you're starting to think about planning navigation. I think trying to find what people need. I don't know if that's like in conflict with what Clayton, you were just talking about, like pushing people towards a certain thing, but that's really about selling in the bottom line, not about like, we know people tend to want this, like the Vistaprint who put the holiday thing in front. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's more helpful than not for most of their audience.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
It's at least a good way to start thinking through some of these challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these challenges are not solved. We pick these things because we continue to work on them every day in our jobs. And these are some of the hardest ones. So what OddBird ended up doing is we thought through who was going to be coming to our website, and what did they want the most, and who would be the most likely to come specifically to the homepage and find this page. What did they maybe want? What were they looking for? And so we did try to put as many of the different objects up here as top level navigation as we possibly could fit in without it getting unusable. And we have one drop down menu now. We tried to stay as simple and as clear as we possibly could and straightforward. So if you're a client looking for services, then this is all of our services. This is everything that you could find here. And there's details, but these are the services. And otherwise, this is what we have: courses, events, posts, and then about and contact. And this one, the events one, that was the trickiest. And it's going to be a continuing conversation because events here, if you click on this, what you'll get to is talks and workshops, because the talks and workshops are the kinds of events that we give. Some of those are workshops that we host, and some of those are workshops or talks that are at conferences. Those are different types. How do we make that clear? And then, the reason we went with events is because we thought the most likely person to be coming here could be somebody who wants to purchase a ticket for an event, or it could be somebody who wants to find a past event, or it could be somebody at a conference who's like, can we book them to give a talk? So those different types of people, and we thought, okay, maybe the most likely person, we had to use our best educated guess on this, to come to the homepage would probably not be the conference person trying to book us, because they have different routes for finding us to give talks, and they're probably not landing on this page. So we deprioritized that need because we had to make choices. And then we said we want to get people to our events. We used that term because we thought it would be the term most people would connect with and would understand quickly. And we wanted to get them to all of our talks, especially the ones that are coming up, so they can buy tickets. That's how we thought about that. But that's the most tricky one. I don't think we'll ever really stop talking about that. And there's probably new ways we'll try in the future to help people get to what they want.
I see our URL is still talks. Maybe we should update that to events. This is a recent change we made.
It's really recent. This is like hot off the press. I mean, if people listening have ideas, we'd love to hear them.
I still like Learn. I'm on Team Learn, but I don't know how you would separate. Like, we would have blog posts, courses, talks, workshops.
Yeah.
Like, we'd have 4 things under Learn. And I don't know if that makes the situation any easier.
Well, that's another idea. We did talk about that, the Learn idea, which I still think could be really, really cool. But then my nervousness as a UX person is that too vague? So for somebody who doesn't know anything about what OddBird does, learn what or how? So if we had a huge reputation, maybe that would work. But for now, I thought we leaned a little bit because we thought it would be too vague. So that's another thing to think about when doing navigation, is like, are your terms too vague? Can people guess really quickly and accurately, like, what is what they're going to find if they click that thing. And I just thought, I have concerns that they won't know. So we leaned away from it, but we're this close.
Yeah, we had it in there in a few PRs and it
Yeah.
just never made it.
Never
So,
quite made it, but I mean, it's still intriguing to me.
RIP learned.
Yeah.
I like.
Clayton,
I
what
like
do you go?
I-
What do you think?
Yeah.
I like events.
Okay.
If you pull up the menu again, I mean, like the main thing is like that whole principle of don't make me think.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that what you all landed on is very clear. Like
Mhm.
if I was curious about a workshop or a talk, looking at those, it's not a post, it's not a course. I guess maybe a workshop you could maybe get confused with courses, but yeah. So, but I like events. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Do we need to have event in the title? We have it in the subhead.
Yeah.
See, this is really why we brought you on. Can you please give us your expertise?
Let me have it here. Is that jarring? That's probably not the best UX. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the page title should match the menu item as often as possible. And so
Yeah.
maybe there's like a subtitle that's you flip it, right? It's called events, and then bring us
Yeah.
to your
Talks and workshops are the
hire
type
us to
of
talk. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not an easy. Yeah.
I'll say though, I do appreciate that you all are like making iterative changes to the site, because I have run into the sort of like people being too gun shy or sort of like perfection on the web and being held up from making an improvement to their site because they want to make all these other improvements too, and then the menu stays unhelpful. Right. It's like, I think it's better that you have an improved menu and sure, like update that page title and that URL eventually, but better than just sitting on something that doesn't work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And we'll hear if people are really unhappy. We might hear from them, but so far it's been, pretty good feedback.
Yeah.
Sondra, is there anything else you want to say about that specifically? I know there's probably other things you'd love to talk about on our site, but we should probably move on if we're done with that. Okay, Clayton, do you want to show us any examples that you've brought?
Yes, if I can find my mute button. Yes. Yeah, and I'm wearing my shoe shirt for the like metaphor of the cobbler's shoes. It's not a costume, but I appreciate that we're like looking at our own company sites as a way of avoiding punching down.
That's the only way we were able, like either that or just like look at very specific patterns, not necessarily applied to a specific company. But
we hold ourselves
like
up to the same scrutiny as any company. We're always critique is a way to get better. It's not intended to be insulting.
Okay, so we have a very similar challenge. So I mean, like we don't even have a drop-down menu because we started our site like really MVP style, really simple. Like there's our About Us page has a bit about us and profiles for each of us, and so there's not a lot of subpages and hierarchy intentionally, but the one area where we just can't avoid it is the services that we do. And here's a cobbler's shoes thing. This is hanging off. This is on the second row, and I reported this. I filed a help desk ticket in our ticketing system, like a good client, and Heather, our friend and developer, was like, "Yeah, this is only happening on Linux, so we're not prioritizing that audience." And so we have so we have, right, like I was sharing, right, we do content strategy, we do information architecture, we do research, but I feel like we're at a point now, and we're starting to repackage our services with Sondra's help, actually, to even more discrete kind of standalone services that we can offer people. And it's not conveyed here, right? And you have to drill down into specific areas. And so that's our design challenge right now, is how to convey the services in a comprehensive way, and also not overwhelm people. So I'm like open to suggestions. We've identified the problem. We have not even taken it as far as Sondra did, with like concrete problem solving yet. Yeah.
How do you, I just happen to know that you're a specialist in content strategy. Do you have a process that you might go through for something like that if you were trying to solve it for a client?
Yeah. I think first is starting with the content itself and really doing an inventory of like, okay, so your services have evolved. They're now there are some that are more granular. Like, let's take a comprehensive inventory of what are all of those services. And then I think because we have so many now, it could be really helpful to do a card sorting activity with people from our audience groups who are not us, potential clients, a director of communications at a nonprofit, especially someone who we don't work with yet, and do that card sorting activity. I don't know the audience for this podcast super well, so should I define a card sorting activity, or do you think people know what I mean?
We have a primarily CSS
Yeah.
type of audience, so
Okay.
it's possible they've not done that, even though they might have heard of it.
Yeah, they're really fun. I love running these. So you can do this either analog, like in the physical meat space world, take index cards and write each, so content strategy, editing ride along, information architecture, like all these different services that you have, WordPress migration, and have them all in cards and just kind of there randomly, and then invite people to take those cards and group them into the groups that make sense to them. And I also, with any of these kinds of activities, I love having people just share their thinking out loud. Because sometimes you'll have people start grouping things in a certain direction and then realize, there's these other things, I'm going to rearrange it. Just kind of hear like what are other people's mental models and how do they make sense of these services. If you can't do things in person, you can also, and there's a pros and cons to each of these ways. So that's the in-person approach. And then the online approach is there's card sorting tools outdoor, and you could also probably build your own lightweight card sorting tool as well, where same thing, you're given those lists and then you're dragging those around into grouping. So it could be on a Miro board. There's also like very specific card sorting tools out there. I think the advantage of that is that you can invite a lot of people to do that and get a bit more data. When you're doing it in person, it kind of depends how chaotic you want things to be, how many people you want to recruit. Yeah.
What is a good number for that? Like, how do you get consensus with an activity like that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think for that, it really depends. And so you're just looking for the like law of diminishing returns, just where you're seeing the same patterns over and over. And honestly, it's been a while since I've conducted a card sorting activity. So that could be a good follow-up research topic. There might be some collective wisdom out there in the UX world on like what kind of consistently comes up as a nice number. But off the top of my head, I don't remember if there is.
Yeah, we'll We'll do like user interviews for some research when we either start a project or like have a very early MVP. And we always, 3 to 5,
3 to
we
5.
find is we usually find some can overlap, but like almost always we'll find one person that says like one super insightful thing that we didn't think of. And we're like, oh, okay. I don't know how often that would be if you keep increasing the number, if that would continue, but that's just what we found has worked for us.
Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
Yep.
By that time, you start to see some of the emerging patterns. Yeah. Enough, especially if you're in an iterative early stage, it's enough. And then you can test more extensively later.
Yeah.
Clayton, on your site, have you had clients come to you and not understood what you're offering so far? Or has it been like just something like you think people haven't brought up, so maybe you should highlight it more differently or better?
Yeah. This is another cobbler's shoes situation. Like, we really haven't done a lot of user research since we launched our site, and I would love to do that. So I have not heard directly or indirectly anyone complaining or, one way or another. Like, so that would be really good. And maybe that's even like good to do now. Maybe that would challenge this assumption that I have. How many, although like we literally don't have a way with some of these new services to like add them in a way. Like, so I think it is a problem.
I think this is the
I haven't
same.
had like comms directors like
Right.
banging on my door complaining about it.
This is the same problem that like every like smallish company is probably having and discussing amongst themselves, and so I don't think it's super unique to yourself. So that's why we thought we'd have a conversation, see if we can get other people chiming in. We'd love to hear everyone's feedback. I think your site is lovely. I love the hand-drawn like icons for some of the services. I really like
those are nice.
Hand-drawn look.
Yeah, Pixels. Shout out to Pixels and Pulp who did that. That was great.
Oh, yes.
And anyone who's watching it, go to devcollaborative.com, go test it out, see if you give us feedback. Let us know how it's landing for you. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like I love and welcome all sorts of like feedback for anything we're doing, because even if people might think it's rude, but sometimes they bring up a really good point that either we haven't thought about or that maybe we should spend more time with. So I think even any like potential future clients, if you want to say like how you found us or what you liked about the site, please let us know, because that just helps us improve what we keep putting out there for everyone else.
Our first major iteration was because we went to speak at conferences and people said, okay, now OddBird, now what do you do? We had already redesigned it and they were like, so what do you do? And we're like, so we have some UX problems here.
Yeah, that's true.
People being willing to say that we could actually make it better.
All right, I'm gonna move on here. We're at the 49-minute mark. I want to do some rapid fire with both of you and just get your hot takes on which one, or yay or nay, if it's just not a choose. So I'm going to go to Sondra first. Infinite scroll or pagination?
Infinite scroll or pagination? Oh, yeah, not infinite scroll.
Not infinite scroll.
Pagination for sure.
Is there ever a case for one?
Is there
ever a case for infinite scroll?
Infinite scroll? Ooh. I would always
like social media. I feel like Instagram, you're just going to keep scrolling. You're not going to want to hit page 2.
That's true. But maybe that's kind of one of those coercive UX styles, though, because aren't we always talking about how it's so addictive that we can't stop? So maybe we should actually
perhaps
never
happened.
Like a very driven decision, isn't it?
There's so many terrible things, so many things about Instagram from a design perspective that I can't stand. But one that I really do like is the all caught up one. When you're scrolling, you're like, oh, nice.
What a
I
good-
like Instagram from like 10 years ago when like it was so simple. You just post a photo, maybe a video, and that was it. But now there's reels, and
Yeah.
I can't even tell you all stories. I'm like, no, you lost me. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just gonna post the like easiest thing, and I'm gonna post once a year when I finish my new Halloween costume now. So follow me on Instagram for new Halloween costumes once a year.
Can I say
I
something
cannot-
about the infinite
Yes, please.
scroll versus?
Yeah.
Please do.
Well, I think one nice compromise that can work is show more button, and
Yeah.
and then it'll show like 5 more or whatever you kind of program it to. I think sometimes that is a helpful pattern, but sometimes pagination is better to give you a sense of like the full breadth of what your set
many
is
you have
that
to
you're
deal
looking
with.
at.
Yeah.
And like if
Yeah.
you're searching and you're like, oh, there's like 5 pages of results and there's filters, then like maybe I want to drill down a bit further so that
Yeah.
there's only like 2 pages of results. Yeah.
Agreed.
And I do love it when pagination is at the top of the set of things that they can see and at the bottom of the set of things that they can see. So that,
Right.
especially if you're on a small screen, you can
That's a good
find
point.
that pagination wherever you are.
Also, okay, let's just talk about all the other things with pagination. You need to have a first and a last button, and you should probably say how many pages there are, not just have 1 through 5 and then guess how many is after that little ... arrow. But like one of my biggest complaints is sometimes I just want to get to your footer because I want to find contact information or some sort of form down there. But like if I can never get to your footer, then I won't be able to find what I'm looking for. So let me get to your footer eventually, please. Unless you're like an app or social media feed. I feel like those are the exceptions. But if you are a website just showing me blog posts, please let me get to your footer. There's a reason I probably want to get down there. Okay. Toggle designs. Have you ever seen a good toggle design? Like when you know something's toggled on or off? Is there such a thing?
Is this for Clayton?
Sure. Clayton first.
Yeah, I remember reading a hot take of like toggles are always terrible. And I think I mostly agree with that. That like radio buttons are just way more intuitive. Yeah, gosh, for the show notes, maybe you all have read this blog post too. It was a very entertaining rant of just how a toggle, like a light switch in the physical world works, but translating it to the 2D world, it just introduces so many problems.
It's true. We should do them vertically. That seems to make more sense. Although my light switches, because they're multi, like it could be off or on, depending on where you turn it off or on. If it's just one, you're golden. But if you have one at the bottom of the stairs and one at the top,
this house has that problem
break loose
for sure. Yeah.
So, Sondra, have you seen a good toggle design?
I'm the worst at toggles too. Like as a user, no. Because I'm almost 100% of the time with toggles, I pressed the wrong one. Like I would have made the other decision. And
like on the odd site.
Yes, on our own.
On the color chooser.
I helped to design that. And every single time I pushed the wrong one. I'm like,
yeah.
No, you cannot tell which one is supposed to be active really, unless I don't know how you do it well. I just never worked it out.
Yeah. I know, Clayton, you mentioned the radio button thing. I think it's clear, but like radio buttons also drive me a little bonkers because you can't uncheck a radio button if it's been selected. There's no way to deselect radio button. So you're stuck with yes or no or whatever you answered, and you might not have meant it.
Yeah.
So unless you have an A or whatever or reset.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Like,
I didn't mean to click this. Have that as the third option.
Yeah.
We talked about click to open versus hover. I used to be really hardcore hover. I think that was until I experienced so many of the mega menus that you like had to like go a very specific path. But I'm very much in the click to open, even if it's an extra click. I know that was always the thing, is like eliminating clicks to get somewhere. But like if you're going to have some sort of complex menu, please do clicks. A new thing that I've recently noticed or like have been really wanting is for every website to have IDs on their headers so you can send it directly to someone. if you want to link to a certain spot within a page. And like, if you're going to have a click to copy, that's great. But some sites don't, and I'll still go into like view source and try to get the idea to send someone directly there. So I think that even if you don't show how you can copy to a header, like just have it in your code. That'll help me specifically. Very small use case, I'm sure, but it's easy to do.
It's on our wish list for our website. Yeah. One day we will have that. It would be very helpful. Very helpful.
Let us know when you add it.
Yeah.
This has come up a lot recently too, the difference between buttons and links. And I know like every designer makes everything look like a button. And like buttons have very specific purposes and links are for navigation. Does anyone care if links look like buttons or buttons look like links? I always have a problem with like, so you're not supposed to add cursor pointer to a button, and we actually talked about that this week at OddBird. But you can add like hover styles, so you know it's interactive. It gets so messy. Like I kind of wish cursor pointer is like a thing for everything, but really it's the different styles on focus or hover. I think that matters more to know that it is an interactive element. I don't know how many users know the difference between links or buttons or even care, but any thoughts on links and buttons and how they look?
Yeah, so interesting whenever you're trying to design a page from the standpoint of highlight the important action the person is supposed to take on this page, like the call to action. Often it would be super nice if you could make that into a lovely button, because then it's quite noticeable, whereas a link, even if it has a color and an underline, not quite as noticeable. But often the buttons in that context of a landing page where you're trying to highlight a specific action you want people to take, it's just going to be navigation to somewhere. Maybe it's navigation down the page to the form or to a different page where you want them to fill out something. It is not really a true time to use a button, but it's the best visual style. So it's really a struggle for me.
Yeah. Clayton, any extra thoughts on that?
Keeps me up at night. Yeah, no, that I don't have anything to add. I feel the same struggle, the same internal conflict with that one. Yeah. Are you going to bring up Stacy's on the list, like whether a link opens in a new window or not?
No, I mean, that's just an accessibility faux pas. Like I wanted to separate some of these out as like, you really shouldn't do that unless you're like in the middle of filling out a form and that link opens like a little help window or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're going to, should be a warning that it opens in a new window because you're breaking the back button.
Yeah. That is the most common bad design pattern that I get requested
all the time.
Clients. And we have like a whole document of like the bazillion reasons why not to, except for these very specific use cases.
And there's a lot fewer of those than your marketing wishes. Like
yes, totally. Yeah, one is not that it's a website other than yours. Like that's not a legitimate reason.
Yes, I agree. For anyone watching that didn't know, let's try to minimize those open in a new tab. Let's keep the browser function working as it was intended. I'm going to go through these last few. Down with autoplay, couldn't agree more. We already talked about that. Yay, Miriam. Truncation. Yeah. I mean, that's like a famous example. That's brilliant. I saw this one really great example. I'll try to add it to the show notes about like really terrible truncation, but always test that. Forms that don't tell me what fields I should have filled out or filled out incorrectly don't highlight the error. I mean, that's just what grinds my gears. There's not like is this good or bad? Like, please have each field highlighted that you should fill out.
Yeah. And if it's a big old form, if you can note it in a status message at the top of the page or wherever, because sometimes it's hard to if there's so many fields.
Yeah. Or if
Even
the
if it's
error
highlighted,
messages.
you're like, oh, it's that one. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And this isn't really, this is like kind of cheating, but like the Apple remote interface, trying to search for anything on TV. I don't know if anyone's tried that. It might be the worst design experience of my life. I just hope that voice gets better, because like some of the things you might want to search for are like titles of YouTube channels. So it might not be like full words. It might be like some numbers and stuff, but like that search interface, and you have to go all the way over, or even like entering your password. And then,
Yeah.
And then to charge the Apple remote is just all awkward, or to charge the Apple Magic Mouse. I don't use one anymore, but one of the worst design. I shouldn't go off on, we said we wouldn't do specific companies, but they're like known as their like amazing design. I love Apple design mostly for everything, but charging the Apple Pencil on the when you had to charge it in the Lightning.
Oh yeah.
Anyhow, but
UX, it's important.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna end this. What grinds my design gears. Without offending too many people. So thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Sondra, for joining me today on Winging It. Remember, OddBird is available to work with you to create your custom web apps and design systems. So please visit oddbird.dev. Check out our services. If you want to know any of or see any of the links or what we discussed on today's show, we will post the show notes both on the YouTube description as well as on our website, oddbird.dev/wingingit. On the next show, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm hoping we'll have another CSS is Awesome game in December. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any topic ideas for November, we're all ears. Clayton, do you want to promote anything?
Yeah, I mean, we're always out there to support people doing good. If you're a nonprofit, if you're a foundation, if you're a museum, if you're a university or a college. That's all we work with is the nonprofit sector. So know it well, know how to do right by that world. A lot of our staff used to be nonprofit staff themselves. So that's something we pride ourselves on, is just knowing what it's really like out there and building tools that are helpful for you all. So devcollaborative.com.
Yep. Excellent. Go there if you are a nonprofit looking for some new ideas or some new marketing sites. If you want to support us, please like and subscribe. Check out our Odd newsletter at oddbird.dev/oddnews. And thank you. Remember, best practice is a conversation. So let's keep talking.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.